because you can identify these are the things we need to do and then fail to do them.
Yes.
So what the coaching does is really just, and I think as Ken has said, working with the people themselves, you're able to now get past the implementation barriers. Because people tend to, you've identified, this is my customer, this is where to find my customer, and this is what I'm going to do to find my customer. And then people get into imposter syndrome. You know, so you come back 2 weeks later and you're asking, you know the customer, you know where to find the customer, you know what you need to do to find the customer. Why haven't you done it? I was afraid. Of what? I didn't think I qualify. And that's where coaching comes in, because then basically you're able to now deal with those hindrances and those stoppages that are at a very personal level.
Yeah, for GoForth, quite very similar. We work a lot with early stage entrepreneurs. You know how when you're in a space where you want to start something, you already have a very, your idea seems clear in your head, but you feel you need that partner to support you to go to the next level. So it was born from that fact or reality where so many entrepreneurs, especially young, you're either straight from work or from employment and you're thinking about getting started into business, and you've probably gone through so many courses, you've done enough courses online, even locally, but you're still feeling like I need that accountability support. So that's where GoForth comes in. And we offer one-on-one coaching for early stage entrepreneurs. And the main goal is to really dig deep and find out what's really, for example, preventing you from getting started. How come this idea, you've been with it for so long? What are some of the things that you need to do as an entrepreneur or as a founder to just kickstart your business? So when we get started, many times we've found that we find ourselves, or clients find themselves realizing there's so much they need to deal with as an individual first that is manifesting in their business. It could be money. So many times you find people saying, oh, I didn't start because I don't have enough money. Only when you dig deeper, you actually realize it's not like the business needed so much money, but there is this barrier or obstacle in your mind that makes you feel like, because I don't have as much money, I'm not able to start. For some people, we have the conversations and we realize it's actually a relationship issue. And that's why I can't sell to my clients. That's why I'm not being able to pitch properly. And when you dig deeper, you realize, hey, this person probably has quite a lot to undo or unlearn when it comes to communication. And if you dig deeper, you realize from a relationship point of view, how they have conversations, how they make friendships, and it's affecting how they're even able to pitch their businesses. So we get to talk about how can we deal with these things so that you're able to show up for your business early without necessarily making the mistakes many business startups do, as they're getting started. So I like to say we are your partner when you're getting started in your business.
Fantastic. Yeah. Great answers. For our viewers, please put down your comments. If you have questions, we'll be happy to address them. So far, I don't see any questions or comments. We'll be happy to address them. Let's make this as engaging as we possibly can. Ken, I have a question for you. I mean, you've been an entrepreneur for many years. And, for some of us who've walked in time looking at you, know that you were a co-founder in 3 months. And we know when it was there, and you were happy. Finally, we have a local software company, and you did quite some jobs in 3 months. And I'm sure what we see today is your successes, but you know the challenges you have had to go through that nobody knows. There are battles that you've had to fight. What was your aha moment? Maybe you can just give us a story, your experience that for you, it was your aha moment, I possibly need a coach. Did you get to that point, in your time? Why I'm asking this is, I know there are very many viewers there who don't really know that they need a coach, but they just, your story would help them, possibly identify where they are.
Okay. Oh, nice. Actually, we are lucky because
Just talking about it.
we were just talking about one of the aha moments with Wylde many years ago. And it was, so to just understand the context. So in this if you go back to 3 Mice, then my career as an entrepreneur is actually a 22 something, like that career.
Yes.
And in that career, I've done, say, four types of businesses. So 3 Mice was one, Cellulant was one. But actually, if you think about Cellulant first was a music business, very different business. Then we evolved to selling solutions to banks, and then we evolved into a payments business. So there are these sort of very different lifelines, across the journey of the business. But, when we got into Cellulant, we went through the initial struggle the first few years because, typically we didn't have money to start what we needed to do. So the first 3 years, it was essentially sort of a battle, near-death experience, right? Every single day, you only had one objective, which is to make sure that you survive that day, right? Then there are times in which where you had some peace of mind, you could think about the week, or sometimes you could think about the month. Sometimes, once in a while, you would dream about the future. But mostly, every single day it was a battle. But we did that for 3 years, and after 3 years, all of the different things clicked, and we grew really rapidly, right? Both the business and the team. And so sometime in 2008, we were now year 5 of the business. We had moved from, I think we're a team of about 27 to 35, somewhere there. So the business has sort of moved from a bunch of people that were sitting on one table to a set of people now that had different offices and so on. And somewhat everybody reported to me, right? I don't understand how that works, looking back in hindsight. And so, and then you could now feel that the business is sort of grinding. To get anything moving just required an extraordinary amount of energy, and was completely frustrating and burning out. And you could also see in the room that everybody was also sort of frustrated. So I knew that, there was something going on that I could not explain. I wasn't happy. I wasn't getting the pace that I needed, but also I could tell that also the teams are not happy. So I ran into Joram and he gave me a card, and the card had many keywords, right? One of them was culture. So I said, so what did you do? Explain to me. And so he explained to me, I said, this culture thing, explain to me, what is that stuff? So he explained to me the program. And I said, I think that sounds, because I think the word he used at that time is like, we do a diagnosis. So that clicked with me, and it's like, okay, we've got this thing, I can feel its impact, but I can't describe it, I can't touch it, feel it. So he came and he did an interview with my management team, did an interview with me and so on. And a couple of weeks later, called me and he says, look, and called me and said, Ken, I want to come and present to you the report. I said, no, we've got a management team. My management team was a couple of months old. I said, come and present to us as a management team, because I was trying to create this dynamic. So after actually insisting, I realized that actually the reason why he probably wants to do that is probably, I'm probably the problem. And then I said, then actually, if I'm the problem, then if he presents his report to me in private, we will never move. Yes. I need to get myself out of comfort zone. And so at some point I told Joram, look, you come and present it to the team, but if you can't present it to the team, then keep the report. Right? It's not going to be useful to us. So he came and he presented to the management team. It was the most excruciating 2 hours for me, because I can generally say that 40% of the problems of the business, I was the root cause of it. I was making strategy in a vacuum. So basically I'd go at night, you dream, you change direction, you come and tell them, okay, guys, this is where we are gonna go. You haven't explained why. Nobody knows why. Nobody has engaged, so there's no buy-in. And then now you start to push for results and so on. So people are sort of moving and so on. That aha moment, and it's a very big pillar of our coaching today. We believe that generally that if there are problems in the business, actually start in the mirror. That's where the answers are, right? That there are a reflection of what you can and can't do. And having a coach, an external person, go through that, then they are very objective, and having an external person facilitate that discussion generally means that there was a bunch of things I needed to change. But also the team needed to change as well. But because we had that conversation, all of us together, it basically gave all of us permission to develop a journey of change together. Right? Because I didn't need to guess. The teams are already telling me what wasn't working. Right? Like I couldn't go out, dream in the evening, come and give instructions. I needed to say, hey guys, dreaming is not bad. Hey, I dreamt a little bit. This thing that we are doing, I'm thinking we can do it differently. Does it make sense? And sometimes those things didn't make sense, right? So that aha moment is very important. Today, if your business has cash flow problems, whatever it is, and things like that, it's not that you need investors. Most probably, you need to look in the mirror. And looking in the mirror is figurative. Basically means talk to the guys around you, your customers, your board if you have advisors, your friends, the ones that tell you things as they are, they will tell you what is wrong. And the journey of sort of making progress actually starts by fixing yourself as a leader. It is somewhat the sort of simple idea that we all wandered in the wind for so many years, and yet it's a very simple idea, but very difficult. I accept that the reason why cash flows are bad, the reason why you have a high turnover of staff, the reason why you have a high turnover of customers, actually it's you. It's something that you need to change for the business to begin, for the team to mirror that change. And when the team mirrors that change, customers mirror that change. And when customers are doing well, they reward you with money in your bank. That's actually fundamentally what business is about.
Wow, that's I mean that's quite profound. You put it in an easy to understand way. You know, I don't know if you guys have you can comment on what it's just said. You know, it's quite profound.
By the way, these are the professional coaches. I'm a Njoroge. I'm trained on the streets.
No, says the person with 22 years of experience.
That doesn't show his face.
Yes.
I think just picking up from just what you're sharing, I think and it's really an issue of leadership and your journey of leadership, and the ability for you to find a way to pause, reflect, and realize that you need to change, you know, and in a sense, getting to that aha moment of the first time that I needed, and I realized I needed a coach. How do you get that to that aha moment? Some people are sort of lucky, you know, when you're in high school, you went to the guidance and counseling room, and you received support, and you realize, oh, I always need to do this kind of things regularly so that I get help. And in that sense, you're lucky because it started when you're much younger.
Yes.
But some people, that aha moment doesn't arise until you're in a crisis, you know, and that crisis is there's no money in the bank, salaries are due, customers are upset, and the business is looking at you for a solution. And when you look inside, you realize you cannot be inspired at night to actually come up with a solution. And so you pick up the phone and you call one of your friends and you say, guys, I'm stuck, I need help, you know. And the disadvantage about that is that crisis is not necessarily the best time to discover that you need a coach, because then you don't have that time to enjoy the process, the moment, make your decisions calmly, calm, and change over time. In a crisis, you must change immediately. And most likely, if you change immediately and your business survives, then now you realize, okay, let me do this as a matter of regular, and as a regular approach.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And one of the things I always say, and why I'm very passionate about early stage businesses, early stage entrepreneurs is you don't have to wait till your business is 7 years old or 10 years old or 12 years old for you to get help. When we think about even our African culture, it comes from a place where back in the day people would sit around, if there's an issue, people would sit around to share thoughts or ideas. And so it's okay to get help. It's okay to learn from people who are able to even get the best out of you. And many times I have come to appreciate it's those people who don't even know you. As you said, that external, the Wylde team didn't know you. So there was no bias, there was no judgment. So even when they're coming to your team or they're coming to speak to you, you're not feeling like maybe it's because they know our issues or things like that. So for me, coaching is something that even when you do not have a problem, it's always good to have someone you can bounce ideas off. I remember when I started my coaching journey myself, like as a client, it was at a point where I was feeling like I was doing so many things, but getting very little results, so many good things. Let me say they were good. So many good things in my business, then in society, I was a member of different clubs, but I was just like, hey, why am I feeling like I'm feeling so stretched? Until someone just told me, how about you have a conversation with a coach? And then that's when I got to meet an amazing and incredible woman who was able to take me through what for me has always been one of the key resources that I even use with my clients, which is called the timeline of life. That just helps you to map out, why do I do the things I do now? What happened back in the day? Let me just track back, and you just start seeing certain patterns that come up. And it's good to have people in your life who, not your husbands, wives, friends, best friends, parents, who will tell you what they think you want to know, just someone who is just open to just be open with you and bring out the best in you. So get a coach as early as you can. You don't need to wait till, it's crisis time.
Okay. Oh, good thoughts. Perhaps, and to our 32 participants, I'll say, if you have a question, please put it in the chat, and we'll be happy that to address your questions or comments. So yeah, let's keep that chat window, and so let's take just one question. The question is, how does a young agribusiness engage with coaching while dealing with cash flow issues and still afford to pay for coaching services? Can coaching be affordable to small businesses? Good people, that's directed to you. This guy is talking about what Ken was talking. It's survival every day.
Yeah. So I think the first question I would like to ask our audience, and if they can indulge us, is if you had an opportunity to sit down with a coach for 1 hour, now that we've talked a little bit about what coaching is like, and you've sort of had the value of it, how much would you be willing to pay? If you can just type that for us on the chat. Quick poll, tell us how much you'd be willing to pay before we tell you how much we actually charge. Okay. Yeah, if you can. That's a good exercise.
Okay. Yeah, so for the participants, that's an exercise for us. Please type how much you'd be willing to pay for an hour of coaching.
Yeah, an hour and a half of coaching.
Let's round it off to 2 hours. 2 hours of coaching. You've gone, you've cried, you've said all your problems. Yeah. Okay, so we have 4,000. So we're expecting some more answers.
30 more. We can take another question, then we'll come back to
and
that one.
Yeah, let's take another question. Please scroll up. Was there another question before that question that I read? Okay. Should a coach be more successful than you are? And here, I think the measure of success is business success, financial success. Should a coach be more successful than you are?
Wow.
allow me to just elaborate on that. Because normally, when you talk about mentor, I remember when you'd be in high school, you'd get friends who are older than you to mentor you.
Who have gone the journey before.
Yes,
they've gone the journey before.
So when you are in Form 1 and you don't want to be bullied, then you will have a Form 4 mentor. Yeah. So good people, tell us. Should a mentor be more successful?
A coach.
Sorry, a coach. My apologies.
I don't think so, right? I think from the little, and my wife's a coach, right? And so sometimes we go through sessions and she tells me, no, that's not coaching. What you're doing is not coaching. You're doing something else. Stop calling it coaching. Yeah. But from that conversation, I think, and maybe you guys can correct me, I think coaching is the philosophy, as was said earlier, it's about what's inside. It's you. You have all the answers. That seems to be the philosophy for coaching. So what a coach does, they walk you through a series of questions that allow you to clarify these questions and then create the impetus for you to find the answers. They don't tell you the answers. So if I think about it that way, actually a good coach is a good coach. They just have a way to to bring out those questions because you have the answers in time.
True. I think the thing is also that there are sort of interesting perspectives. Do you have to suffer from malaria to be a good doctor?
Wow, that's a good way to look at it.
Because you see, coaching is a professional skill. I'm asking you a series of questions. I'm taking you through a journey, and I'm drawing answers from you.
Yes.
I can coach an engineer, and I never have to be an engineer. Because the engineer is the expert in his field. And for me, my work is to really just ask him certain questions, and as he answers them, he'll arrive at his own answers. Now, does it help if I was an engineer? Definitely. It helps if I was an engineer, because then I won't ask a question that is related to water engineering, and yet maybe we're talking about mechanical engineering, But strictly speaking, as a coach, you don't need to be richer than your client.
Yes.
Okay. But as somebody who is working with businesses, and as somebody who is also building a business, what we've seen at Wylde is we are able to empathize more with our business clients because we are also building a business.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, some of the things that we are guiding you to practice, we are also practicing them. And so when I come and I'm coaching you, and it's a conversation around setting up a board, and the entrepreneur is having challenges around that, I totally get it, because probably I went through a similar challenge of setting up a board. So I don't have to tell you exactly what I did, because in coaching, the answer is in you. I draw it out of you. But because I have empathy, it flows. You can feel that this person is not speaking from a theoretical perspective. They've practiced what they're saying. So it enhances the coaching experience and actually makes it easier for the entrepreneur to believe what the coach is guiding them towards.
Great.
I do agree with everything that's been said. To be honest, I do have clients who are more successful than I am. It's not about, we are not sitting in the room to say, oh, how much do you have right now? And do I have more than? No, it's about the issue that we are talking about, and can I support you in the process of being able to deal with that issue? It's about clarity. It's about you being able to leave that room feeling, oh, wow, I hadn't thought of things like that, but I think if I give that a shot, and we'll definitely do better. That's what it's about.
Okay, fantastic. Let's have a look at what people have said they can pay you, Chris. So we have 4,000, 5,000. If someone wants to give you shares.
Is that in shillings or in dollars?
Yes. And at this per hour rate, are the proposals per hour?
I think
For 2 hours, sit down.
Let's see.
Nice. And
someone wants to give you shares in their company. 4 to 5K. Okay, so by and large between 4,000 and 5,000. That's what people are saying.
Can I ask them another question before we talk? Before we even give them what rates are? If you think about the biggest issue or two or so issues of today, what happens if you don't solve them over the next 1 year? What, if you are to quantify the cost of that, how much do they cost you if you don't solve them?
Yeah, please put in your comments there.
So like the one that is doing cash, for instance, somebody talked about cash flows.
Yeah.
What happens for another 12 months if you don't solve those cash flow problems? What is the cost to the business? Or to you?
Feel free to put in your health issues that you're going to have as well. Eh?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Because,
try and quantify.
You know, it will give you some hospital bills. Eh? It's possible.
No, just so I can add, these are the kind of questions coaches will ask you to bring out the answer.
So participants, please put in your comments.
Getting live coaching.
Yeah, please put in
You
your
coached into the pricing.
I want to take some other questions before we continue with the questions here. The one from Joseph, I think. Okay. From there's one that was up. Okay. Should I coach? There's one from Dintley, a South African. As a coach, what would make you quit the team? That's directed to you. And I had a question like that. Can you handle that when I'm handling the question that we are going to handle?
Yeah.
So I'll handle that. So let's see what Ambassador Q is saying. Most successful business people, when asked for guidance, usually are cosmetic with their response. Hard work, hard work, hard work. And that's why you need a coach. Because you know, when you go to ask responses, that's what you get. But a coach will now draw it out of you. Right. Is there another question? At what levels of business hierarchy does coaching apply most? Also, do we have solutions for coaching of teams and not only for individuals? Allow me, this will direct me to the next question. So we are going to address this with my next question.
Yes.
Businesses. We have people here with businesses at all stages, okay? There are people here with an idea. They just have this noble idea and they believe this idea will change the world in one way or the other, okay? There are people who have put that idea into something and then the startup stage where the cost is more than the revenue they are getting. Therefore, they are making negative profits, they don't have losses, and they are stressed, they don't have cash flow. There are some guys here who have just gone into break even. Doesn't mean they have cash flow, but on the books they are showing their profits, but they have cash flow issues, but you know, they are breaking even. And there are different stages of break even. There are people who are in profits and and sometimes it's easy to get comfortable with that. And there are people who are scaling up and they are feeling this. Possibly, is coaching relevant? And do you, in your individual practices, address, I know you address early stage, so you're addressing startups. Do you address each stage? Maybe you can just comment on that. Yeah.
So I think coaching is relevant at any stage of business. Yeah. Whether you are starting up, whether you're growing, whether you're a mature business and you're stable, coaching is relevant because coaching is very contextual and helps to draw answers that are coming from inside you as the business owner. And therefore, you have the answer. If you're a startup and you're starting your business, the coach is asking you a set of questions and it's drawing the answer for you. So you have the answers. If you're a growing business, at the end of the day, it's your experience. You've been running this business for 5 years. You've had certain challenges. You're trying to do certain things. The coach asks you questions. The answers still come from you. If you're a mature business, if today somebody was to sit with the CEO of a multinational, organization that has multiple branches, and you're coaching that particular CEO. At the end of the day, they have the answers because they are in the business. The role of the coach is to be able to just ask critical questions that can help the person you're coaching to understand themselves better, understand their challenges better, understand the context of their challenges better, and even question the assumptions that they're making. Because at the end of the day, what you're trying to do is help that person make better decisions, arrive at better conclusions. And so it doesn't matter. At any stage, your coaching is going to work.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And at every stage, a business needs to grow. Whether you're in startup, you've just got an idea and you've started to commit real time and resources on it, it has to grow. Otherwise, you've already started to make commitments, and working back is always very costly. So the only way is to actually grow forward. Whether you're a startup, you're a big stage, or even large business. And we find actually that the things that prevent growth are sort of barriers in terms of clarity. It's not almost always never the market. It's always the CEO and the team that there is some clarity that they are not getting. And coaching really does, and very quickly actually, in a single sitting, normally when you go through a 1 hour, 2 hour session coaching, you just see people wake up, get out there with shine in the eye because they've got this thing, they've been trying to mull over it over months and so on, and it's causing a lot of other problems. But, single sitting, and you walk them through the stuff, you find they already knew the answers, the teams knew the answers, but they were just not asking themselves the right questions. A coach walks them through that. And you actually almost always can see growth and progress, especially teams that once they get clarity, they follow through. Yes. It's beautiful to watch. You see, a business that's sort of stuck. And then through a couple of sessions, they get very clear and you just see the trajectory change. So coaching unlocks growth, and growth is important. It's a lifeblood at every stage of the business. There's no question about it. But we say a business does not grow, it's a business that's done. And growth is unlocked mostly by coaching. Some teams can manage to do it and get clarity, but at some point you run into fog. And only coaching gets you out of the front, or mentoring or something of that blend.
Oh.
Have you ever been in a situation where you're thinking, I feel so confused right now, I wish I could just speak to someone and get some clarity on something? Have you ever been in a situation where you're feeling stuck or stagnated? Have you ever been in a situation where you're feeling this has been going on for too long and I don't know how to fix this? Maybe you're even experiencing sleepless nights. If those answers are yes, I want you to know you can experience those questions in any stage of the business. And that's why you need a coach.
Yeah. Fantastic. So coaching is applicable at every stage of the business. Coming back to that particular question, we have solutions for coaching. It's the question from Joseph that we're addressing. Also, do we have solutions for coaching of teams and not only individuals?
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. Yeah, it's possible. To coach teams is possible. Just requires a lot more time, a lot of effort, because everybody has to contribute an answer.
Yes.
And you're trying to draw the answers from the team, and then also you're trying to arrive at consensus.
Similar to what Wylde did for Cellular.
Similar to what Wylde did for Cellular.
Pretty much, yes.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. And for individuals, if someone is an early stage startup, then you grow. Typically, when you start, you're one person. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's possible. Right. I'd like to have a look at a couple of more questions.
I think what I'd like to add to Moni's question, now that we've been having this conversation here, you talked about follow through. Now, he asked, when do you quit? As a coach, when do you quit the team? Or when do you quit that client?
In fact, I wanted to put it because it was one of
okay.
So you can go ahead.
you know, for me, it's part of what you said. It's about follow through in the end. Coaching is really, by the end of a session, you're having quite some aha moments. By the end of the session, you're feeling, oh, I'm gonna try this one thing or these two things. And all usually the coach would expect you to do is go try it out and then let me know how it works, whether it works or not. So it's usually really difficult for coaches when they see that, you know, they've spent time with you, you've spent your time, your energy, your resource, as well as the coachee, and you come back 2 months later, a month later, and oh, you know, things are thick, inflation, you know, we didn't do anything. And so it's just like, so what are we doing here?
Why am I taking your money?
Why am I taking your money? You know, so that's when, I don't know about you guys, but for me, that's when I have had to quit a client, because I'm just like, what's the point? Even for me, you know, my success is your growth. My success is when you move, even if it's half a step, a full step ahead. So when you're not following through,
I mean, it's serious, because and sometimes if somebody is not following through and you can see that you're helping them and they come back next time and they've done a follow through, it encourages you, and you're able to continue. But then there's sometimes when the issue that you're discussing goes out of scope. So, and you're not quitting the client, but you're quitting the issue. So I'm coaching you on business, and we're talking about your business, and we are progressing, but then it emerges that you actually have another issue that is affecting your business that is not business. So if you have, say, substance abuse challenge, you know, now at that point, I have to quit that issue because I am not capable of addressing substance abuse, because that now requires psychological counseling. You know, so I have to quit the issue, but not the client.
No, well put. Nothing to add.
Maybe as we get at Mono's question is, what would your measure of success be? Say, for example, you know, Wylde coach cellular. What was Wylde's measure of success?
For us, our measure of success is we want to document and record growth in the business. And we look at growth very simple. Did your revenues grow? You know, and then did you feel that now you're making money and it's easier? Sort of like efficiency. It feels easier for us to make more money. Because sometimes we've grown and it's still harder to make the money. Because coaching addresses both revenue growth, but also efficiency and effectiveness. And my most recent measure when I'm dealing with people is, if I'm coaching you on a multi-year program, then are we discussing new problems? Or are we discussing the problems we were discussing last year? Because to some extent, you have to grow. And if you've grown, if before I was talking to you and we were talking about, say, performance management. When you come back, performance management should have been dealt with. Now we should be talking about my 5-year strategy or my 3-year strategy. But if we're not meeting new problems and new challenges, it means you're not growing.
And also you can have the wrong coaching chemistry. Sometimes there are times when you engage with guys and there's no click. Sometimes I find, and it's not that the problems are not there, or it's not easy to understand what the problems are, but the coaching, for whatever reason, that the coaching chemistry isn't there. So I think it's always very useful for teams to look at that very early on with a coach, because also that impacts coachability.
Interpersonal dynamics.
Those dynamics are super important.
So what you're saying is that, you know, you have to be brutally honest.
Yes.
And sometimes say, you know, this coaching thing is not working. However, maybe I would want to ask, if you're coaching a business and, you know, they have a management team and, you know, the coaching dynamics are working well with the founder, but there are some characters in the management team that things are just off. So the leader is very committed, but the management team, there's some characters there that are very toxic. And I mean, how do you go around that? Do you say, look, guys, or are there measures that you possibly suggest to address that?
Yeah, I think, when we're doing work with teams, and, most of the work is very similar to what you said, you do those in workshops. I think one of the most important and really practical things is always you ask for permission for there to be candor in the room. And you draw up rules and you agree and you discuss that generally that this is going to be as useful as basically you will get out what you bring to the table, right? Because as a coach, you're not at least showing up in the session with all of the answers, right? And even when it's situations where you have gone ahead of those situations in advance, you're just wiser because you've seen that context before. But ultimately, you want the people to basically contribute to define what the problems are. You help ask the questions so that those things are clear, you clarify, and so on. So it's always important to say, look, guys, we try to be as front and as clear as possible. And the job of the coach actually is to create that environment to do that, right? And to manage the dynamics in the room to do that, because there's a CEO, there's always a power distance, which is cultural and all of those things. And then there are different team dynamics, and you don't know actually what's going on with the team as well.
Yeah.
But I find that, at least in terms of style, is that when you find those issues, you call them out very quickly, right? So you don't attack people, but you call the issues out very quickly, and you try to get the teams to confront hard issues of it. Because as long as everybody is sort of present, they have agreed what the problem is, they've agreed what success looks like, then all conversations then need to be facilitated to get there.
Yeah.
And so ultimately, you hope then you end up with a set of agreements that everybody sort of signs up. And once you walk away from that, then now you have a frame to hold people accountable.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, you will go and you find some people have done those things. Others, just as soon as they walk out of the room, they decided that that's just a waste of time. And there, I basically, again, you're back to the CEO, and since you had agreed, then you want to look at the CEO and figure out why they are not.
Yeah.
Since we already agreed, we fought,
yes,
we debated, we threw some things out, we got some things in.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, we said, okay, are these the problems? Everybody agrees, and normally you go to everyone in the room.
Yeah.
I said, okay, fine. Are these the action points? We've all agreed. Okay. Are these the correct owners? Great. Are these the dates? Okay. And the next time, it's a very simple thing. You fire up that thing and then say, hey guys, last time we met, this is kind of was agreed. Yeah. Let's discuss where we are. Reports.
Yeah.
And if you find consistently that there are team members who generally don't follow through, then very quickly the conversation becomes a serious. So what are we doing there? Yeah. If we have all generally agreed to this thing, this guy is not consistently doing this thing, or this lady is not doing this thing. So what's the deal? Yeah. What's that? What's going on? Yeah. And then that's where the buck stops. Right? It comes down to the leader. Yeah. You're the facilitator, and ideally, if you have those kinds of sessions and it's the same sort of round robin, and you look at the leader and you just say, well, maybe the problems are not the problems. Yeah. Maybe you need to look at the mirror.
Yeah.
But the mirror has been presented. The mirror has been presented.
Yeah.
The leader is not responding to what they're seeing on the mirror.
And if you can't get the leader past whatever barriers they have to hold those people accountable, then it becomes
becomes very difficult.
Yeah.
Because
It becomes
you're
a
repeating
talking shop.
yourself.
Yeah, it's just a talking shop.
Yeah.
Nothing happens.
Okay.
And you'll actually end up also the leader will actually also end up disconnecting the relationship.
Yeah.
Because they're not willing to confront the issues. Bringing you back is a realization that the issues are simply brought up again.
Yeah.
So what's it?
Great, great. Let's see a couple of more questions.
We have to talk about the cost of coaching.
We have to talk about, so let's first, okay, there is that one for Gabriel, but the one a bit up is what we were talking about, is the chemistry. Is chemistry important between the coach and a client, like in therapy? I think that has been addressed.
Yeah.
We've addressed that.
And that's important because, so don't go to one coach and you don't find the chemistry, and then now you have blanket statements that say coaching doesn't work. that's not the idea.
Yeah.
You talk, coaching works.
Yes.
You talk to one coach. If you don't find a click, talk to a second one, talk to a third one.
Yeah.
So there is a right coach for you as well.
And
Right.
I also like to say, to tell my clients, like even in the initial sessions, you know, we are also learning each other here.
Yeah.
Feel free. If you feel like, you know, there's a problem or there's no connection, it's still very okay for you to say, you know what, it's not working with me, let me try someone else.
Yeah.
You as a coach, he has that right and permission to end it if it's not working. So it's usually even said right in the beginning.
Right. So it's said right in the beginning. Okay. When coaching for performance with a client with culture of working in silos, how many sessions or months would it take to make a culture change? So this we're talking about culture and time. And these are people who, what is in the right pocket, the left pocket does not know. Yes.
Yeah.
That one, eh?
I don't think so. Not really. It's just the context that's missing.
These you're typically, you know, businesses that have reached the, you know, scaling whatever. So they have big teams. You're looking at possibly 100 employees.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Context is important.
Yes.
Because there are 100 employees. How many of them are in the manufacturing shop floor versus how many of them are in management? Because in the manufacturing shop floor, you work in silos. I mean, I'm on the line.
Yes.
Yeah. There's no collaboration here.
Yeah.
The thing is coming. I assemble it and move it to the next person.
Yeah.
You know, so when silos, people talk about silos, they're talking about teams that need to collaborate to succeed.
Yes.
Rather than saying context is important.
Let us assume that it's teams that are supposed to collaborate to succeed. Let us take the assumption. Okay. And then we address it.
So this assumption, maybe it's a team of 5 in each department, working in a company that maybe has 4 departments, and success means that people need to work together, or actually for silos to develop, it means success doesn't depend on working together. You know, we probably find in a situation where we are serving one client, but we are serving that client with multiple products. So company A serves the same client but with a different product along the similar space. You know, so maybe we are in cleaning services or software distribution, and we are serving the same client, but each team is serving the same client with different needs. So there's need for collaboration. So in that case, it can take anything between 6 months to 1 year to break that service. So,
yeah, the other interesting dimension to that question about culture change, right? Like, let's say, you know, a company, like you said, as a culture of not collaborating, it needs to be collaborating. How long does it take to change culture? And to change anything takes time. But the journey starts immediately the leader decides it is. Because why does culture, you know, what shapes the culture of the business? I would say the 2 most critical factors that shape culture. There are others, but these ones are most foundational. It's how the leader behaves and what they tolerate.
yes.
Right? So, for instance, if you want to delight customers, if your staff members never see you going over and above to delight customers, then, you know, even if you have it on your walls and everywhere and in the car and in t-shirts, it's just never going to happen. Like they've not seen it, they don't believe it. If delighting customers, if the founder shows that delight customers, let's say you sell, I don't know what, like you sell onions. Customers order onions, you have your delight is that we must deliver to customer on time. The day that employees see you allowing smelly onions in your nice BMW to deliver, given to the company car, just say, our company car has broken, take that car, deliver that stuff to customers. That day, then people now start to believe that we mean business about delivering to customers. So that's a founder behavior. Tolerating is that if we say here we are high performance organization, then there's this guy who co-founded the business with you, right? He was employee number 2. During the hard times, he was there. But then the business has changed, has outgrown now. Today, he's the biggest non-performer. So you give these nice, inspiring speeches about performance. You fire a few other guys who, whatever, but this guy is always there out the guys. No, nothing happens to them. They sort of somehow seem immune to this your rules. It matters not what you say, what you do, the culture takes root. So if you then woke up as a founder, you go through a coaching moment, you have that aha moment, and you decide that I want to change the culture. Yes, the day that you start behaving that culture that you're preaching, the organization starts changing. The day you say, from today, we're going to be a high performance organization, good, what happens, everybody, tomorrow that guy is gone. He's gone. Then people now start to believe. You have their attention. They're like, okay, tell us what you want us to do. It changes. Look at, we were watching some news about this opening of the NSC by the new president. He got there 25 minutes. Yeah, he got there 25 minutes on time. The CEO was scrambling to arrive, scrambling to arrive, and so on and so forth. Trust me, just that thing will change complete timeliness in all government. Simple thing, not very complicated, no big statements. We are not being asked to write, do t-shirts or being time. We are the timekeepers. None of those, just behavior. So in a sense, if you're going through this transformation to collaborate or whatever these are, you as a founder, once you decide that you want the organization to change, or it must change, then you change your behavior tomorrow, the change of the organization takes. Now it takes months and years for it to become entrenched and to become a way of life. But change starts very early, and you start to gain the ripple effect of collaboration very early. So if businesses collaborate so they can serve customers better, the moment you show the way that this is what collaboration means, you fire the guys that are not collaborating, no matter how close they are to you. Tomorrow, the business starts to collaborate, and if collaboration meant that customers now get sold products, you see it impact on revenues almost immediately. So there's a lot of payoff when you have those aha moments, and you're prepared for change, and as a leader, you lead that change, you pivot in the business almost immediately. And then if you continue over a long period of time, it becomes entrenched. It doesn't really matter whether you walk away. The people that get hired are the people that show those values.
And just to add to that, because of how, transformation, it takes time, it's good then to discuss or just map out what do the small wins look like for us. Like if we are starting this process, what does a win look like? Even the way you're saying, if tomorrow, what does a win look like? 2 months from now, what does a win look like? So that we're not just expecting success at the end and all of a sudden, all celebration, but we are also able to see what's happening every other, even in small wins.
Okay, great. I want us to take a 2-minute break. Please, participants, don't disappear. Just 2 minutes. It's 7:06. Let's come back at 7:08. Just to allow our participants at least to stretch. They say it's healthy after 1 hour of sitting. Just stand up and stretch. Thank you.
And we take a walk.
Okay. Thanks a lot, participants. I hope none of you, I hope I did not lose any of you. We were on the costs question, and I can see from over here, you know, just like it is for physical health. I think I'll ask, let's address that cost question, because I can see, looking at relatable comparatives, it's hard to miss what you have not experienced. But I think our panelists would have something that you'd like to bring that discussion, that question to a close. Yeah.
Yes, I think I can go first. Look, I think it adds value, right? Look, like every professional service, There is a coach at every price point you can imagine. Yeah. Just like there's a doctor, like there's an accountant or a consultant at every price point. It's a professional service. It's charged by the hour. It's intangible, just like every other thing, right? Why I asked that question earlier of, you know, the problem that you have, if you don't fix it, you know, what is it going to cost you? The idea is to then say, hey, you know what, can I actually afford not to do it? So for instance, if somebody, I think on the chat said that their business would not survive. So what's then your business worth? If your business is worth 10 million bob, and you go to a coach that in a couple of sessions will cost you $1 million bob, I'd say it's worth it. Because your business fails if you don't do it. In fact, I would argue that the question you should be asking, who's the best coach for this kind of problem? That's what you should be calling your friends and saying, I've got this problem. Who is the best damn coach I can find for this problem? Because you know it will cost you the entire business. And oftentimes, for entrepreneurs, when your business goes down, it carries your personal life and almost your relationships with you. Like, it's incredibly costly. So that decision, you need to make it fast. Then you address the question of cash flow. So that if your business failing is 10 million bob, you should be prepared to pay $1 million bob, right? Can you afford it? Absolutely, you can afford it, because if you don't take it to your business, it's going to cost you more. Then go to your coach and just say, well, my cash flow don't allow you to pay you $1 million bob. This is my problem. I want to work with you. You are the best. Is it possible that you can accommodate me for my circumstances? Oftentimes, I was always very pleasantly surprised at how many people were willing to engage in that discussion. Because it was very, like, it's human nature, right? Like, somebody shows up, they are already there. And also in this Africa, I never ever wanted to see somebody who then first send me an invoice and say, so pay me, this is my per hour rate, first pay me before I turn up, before I show up. So if you reach out to call somebody, I'd like to see, I've got this natural problem, this is my context, I don't know whether I can afford you. Most people will say, you know what, let's first have a meeting and first see whether I can solve your problem. If you get to that meeting and you explain your context, most probably you will get some value. So you begin to get a window for what coaching can do. Yes. And almost always, people always wanted to help. Right? I think, I don't think actually by that. When we're doing Wylde, yes, I don't even think we could afford you at that time. but it wasn't difficult to have that discussion. And then you say, fine, give us a payment plan, let's work together. But then actually that work actually transforms you to the point where eventually you can afford it, right? And so it's about, coaching is always about growth, and growth is tangible. Like you said, I mean, it's like you can feel the revenues after 12 months of coaching. Why would you not want to pay the best coach you can find? Why would you not want to do that?
Well, the spirit of Ubuntu.
Yes.
And I'm reminded of a friend of mine who said when they were growing up, their dad went to the school and said, I want to give my children the best schooling there is. And negotiated with the school and said, look, never ever send my children home. I will be paying you this fixed amount for the next 15 years. And my children will probably finish this school in 8 years, but I'll continue paying. But don't send them home, because I want them to get the best education. And the children got the best education. You know, so it's just a matter of how you position yourself. You go to your coach and you say, look, I have this problem. I know you cost me this much. I'm willing to pay in this way for the next 1 year. The problem might be solved in 1 month, but I'll continue to pay. And if you're faithful, your coach will accept, because we're in Africa. In Africa, we have the spirit of Ubuntu. Yeah. A lot of us Kenyans normally say, I want to support your business. Yes. Then they come and buy a shirt, which they will never have bought if they didn't know you as a friend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good thoughts.
Yeah, I can tell you, I agree. You can get a coach from zero, even
Free.
zero, all the way to a lot. I think it's at the end, the value conversation. What kind of conversations you're also willing to have with the coach will be important. But I would definitely say, think about it, review it. Yeah, I would follow exactly what you recommended.
And there are free coaches.
There are. Oh yeah, let me just mention that. My very first coach was from, so we have the ICF, the International Coach Federation. And so what happens for those people those coaches who are actually in training, you have to cover, you have to do some time. You have to do some free coaching hours. So every once in a while, if you are sharp enough, if you're hungry enough, it's possible for you to get, the blessing of getting a coach to work with you, even if it's for a couple of sessions, because that's part of their schoolwork.
Yeah.
So it's good to also check out some of these resources, like ICF, OCM as well, if that's where you feel you can get some value from.
And actually, if you go to our website, wildeinternational.com, we have complimentary coaching because we are actually training business coaches.
Exactly.
So if you're in business and you need a coach and you can't afford one, just go to our website, sign up, and you'll actually get a coach.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I never.
And my first coach was a coach in training.
Yeah.
So in a sense, almost every coach, that's what you do, that's what you do.
Yeah.
Even for us, like we will never contract on a longer term if we haven't coached a few times, right? Because it's the only way to test that first you're coachable, that you have problems we can add value to, and that the coaching chemistry is there. Remember, as Sheba said, like it's in the coach's interest that you get better.
Yeah.
So I mean, my wife and I are always on calls. She's always on calls, coaching, discussing whatever it is, and like it's just part of the craft.
Yeah.
So don't be scared. Basically, don't be scared to try. Don't be scared to invest.
For me, I think what I'm hearing from all of you is that we should not let the costs be a hindrance, a barrier. I'll talk of my personal experience when I was starting off the Discovery Center. I got 4 sessions of free coaching, and this was not a training coach. I mean, this is a coach who charges corporates something like about $1,000 a session. Yeah. But she was kind enough to give me 4 sessions, and I can tell you those 4 sessions I'm reaping from them even today. Those 4 sessions is why COVID did not knock us out. Okay, so let not the discussion be a barrier to entry. Which brings me to my next thought before I go to my next question there. So COVID happened in 2020, and before COVID, everything was more or less predictable. You had an election cycle, so the election year people won't spend a lot. But on industry specific, there used to be things that would happen that would possibly knock you out. And I'll put it this way. 3 years ago, I was involved in a car accident. The car I was with the family, were knocked from behind, and it's by God's grace that we were all alive. I mean, this was a Scania 22-wheeler truck that hit us. But I hadn't seen it coming. I had not seen it coming. I mean, we were at Makuyu, there was easy moving traffic, all at 60 kilometers per hour. So, I was just playing music, talking with my wife, and boom, it happened. Unbeknown to us, we just learned later. There's a friend of my wife. She was at the same point. She saw the lorry coming. She had to do some dangerous overtaking maneuvers, and she was able to get out of it without being knocked. Wow. This lorry lost control. In our businesses, there are those punches, we call them sucker punches. You didn't expect it. Yeah. Sometimes it happens on a nationwide level. COVID happened, and you remember when COVID happened, everyone was thinking, do we activate force majeure clause? What do we do? Do we follow this stuff? So, possibly you can just give your input, how coaching helps in these areas. I don't know if I'm clear with the question.
Yeah, very, very clear. Very clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, very clear. Okay, I mean, it's those sucker punches, they're always very contextual as well. And, but I was inspired by one business we were coaching, and we've been coaching for a long time. It was a catering business, right? And of course, with COVID, you can understand what happens. I mean, people you couldn't go out, so basically, business went to zero at some point. And so I think with COVID, first 3 months, everybody was sort of not knowing what was going on and so on. But after that, people started to get their heads together. And so remember getting with this CEO and the team together, and we said, look, throughout the conversation, and this essentially came from the team, we agreed that, okay, there is only one thing you can do. You can't guarantee salary, right? But supposing everybody agrees that we can't guarantee salary, everybody's firing everybody, but supposing we work out a profit share. So we are all gonna work hard. Nobody has any guarantee for anything. We go out, we know the salespeople go out and try and bring revenue in. We work out our costs and so on and so forth. And whatever's left, there's a sharing formula. And at that time, it looked like bleak. That business, if we look at them now, they came out of COVID and basically went on a trajectory for thriving, because all kinds of things, including margins, gross margins, cost control, all kinds of things that have been such a big issue to contain, disappeared because everybody became a business owner. Even in sales meeting, the chef from the kitchen would be in sales meeting saying, guys, what's your pipeline? Right? And everybody became a master of controlling margins and managing costs and stocks and all of that stuff. So when you get those sucker punches, I always say, I think the owner almost always has just a few things they need to do right. Number one is you can't afford to give up, because, there's no option if you do. And if you basically don't give up, the second thing you need to do, don't die alone with the problem.
Yeah.
Go to the staff, look around you, get everybody involved in the problem, right? Just say, guys, this is the problem, how do we fix it? And you'd always be surprised, like in that kind of thing, the solution came from a conversation with everybody. When you get sucker punches, don't give up, stay calm, get everybody involved, you will almost always find a solution.
There was definitely a thing with catering businesses, because even I had a catering business client, and by the time they were calling, it was bleak. It was bleak, and she was just saying, call me, and she's like, Sheba, we need to sit down. I think I'm going to close the business. I'm falling apart. Sucker punch. We have not been able, there are no events. And it made sense, because the business was purely dependent on weddings and all these events. And so we sat down. Interestingly, also a good decision she made was to bring the team, one of the team members. And in her moment of almost, okay, she didn't, let me not say she gave up, she didn't give up, but in a moment of, I do not know what to do, the team member just said, but something interesting happened, because one of the questions I asked was, but what are we currently grateful for? Yeah, because it seems like the business is still going on. What are we currently grateful for? And she's like, I don't think there's anything. What do you mean there's anything to be grateful for? And then the team member just said, but wait, there is. So being in an area, the business is in a residential area. And the gentleman just said, do you know what's interesting? We never stopped getting pastry orders. We never stopped getting cake orders. Fine, they changed from being the huge cakes.
Yes.
And what he ended up sharing, because he's always in the operations, is now people were ordering the pieces, the slices. And then what he said was, because I asked when we were looking at the numbers, how come this is, the margins are higher than normal cakes in the past? They're like, no, it's just because they've been buying lots of slices. I'm like, so the more the slices, the more the money?
Yeah. Slice it up.
So
Slice it
then
up.
she's like, are you serious? So she's even asking the gentleman, are you serious? We make more money from slice cakes than full cakes. He's like, yeah. And imagine that was almost the end of the session, because right now they are no longer a catering business. They're now a fully fledged
slice cake business.
Doing very, very well. And that's what you're saying. The main hope I always have for business owners, all of us entrepreneurs, is may we not give up, and may we not ever think that the solution is always only with us. Just because you're the founder of your business doesn't mean you know everything. In fact, you probably know almost. Yeah. And then that's why you hire amazing people.
Yeah.
And these people see things, because you're always almost looking, overview kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And can you imagine they didn't know about the cake slices until that meeting? So have conversations. These coaching sessions really bring out stuff that you may not have known, but was right with you.
Wow. We are talking about growth. We are talking about higher margins. We are talking about business transformation. Profound. Any thoughts, Chris?
I think I can't quite top up what they've said.
Okay.
It's involve the team, share the problem, get into a room, talk about what has happened, understand the entire context that is driving that thing, and don't focus so much on just the solution. Try and get to the root cause of what's happening. Yeah. Okay. If I try to top up, I'll just repeat.
And just to say, with sucker punches, especially what we've experienced the last couple of years, for many businesses, there were just so many coming at us at the same time. So one thing I've also learned is, can we also just narrow down and see, in the midst of times where in business or in your leadership role, you're feeling, I'm going through so many bad things, what's one challenge I'd want to work on, as opposed to feeling the pressure of wanting to fix everything at the same time.
Oh, very true. That's super important.
Because there's always those few things that if you do, they can turn around the entire business. And it's not everything. Not everything is important at the same level. And having that coaching conversation allows you to get to that sort of like the Pareto, the 20% that makes 80% of the difference. I'm just trying to see. So there's an organization that we are coaching, and they support women in business. And they realized that they were having networking events with women, but the business was with the men. And so the simple thing was, fine, let's have networking events, but let's have the men in the room. We're supporting women, 100% guaranteed. But when we gather as women, we don't have the business. So we need to bring
the men are the customers.
The men are the customers. So if we're not networking with the men, there's no money. So that just one thing changes the entire trajectory.
Okay, good. I'm going to take a couple of questions. Before I take a couple of questions, Ken, this is possibly not new to you. Someone calls you. Business is nosediving. It's like, picture a plane, It's nosediving, altitude, all alarms, all lights are red, employees are leaving, and customers are shouting. The guy is stressed, he's calling you. How do you stabilize this guy?
The answer is going to be so simple that you'll be disappointed. And Sheba has talked about it. Irrespective of how rare those things are, that magic question Sheba asked is like, what are you grateful for? We have a version of that question which we ask, what's working? What's working? So okay, okay, I hear you. But what's working? And that's it. And that changes mindsets completely.
Who's the customer that's paying?
Yeah.
Okay.
And where can we find more of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
That's it. That's
And what are they paying for?
Great. And
If you answer those three questions,
yeah. That's
who's
it.
the customer that's paying? What are they paying for? Where can we find more of them?
Yeah.
Tomorrow morning, you start getting more customers.
I needed to ask that because I know, I've talked with some of the participants, privately, and I know some of them have gone through those moments.
Mm.
Great, fantastic. So, from Ambassador Pio, how do you guarantee confidentiality during the coaching process, given that today coaches steal ideas? Wow, that's quite an allegation.
Ideas are a dime a dozen.
An idea is not a business.
And an idea is not a business.
This is what, may I just give my thoughts before I let you guys say? We have bodies that protect intellectual property.
Yeah.
We have the Copyright Board, we have Kenya Industrial Properties Institute. Okay? Go to both of them, they'll tell you they cannot protect them. Because when I think of an idea,
Yes.
Ken is possibly thinking about it.
Yeah.
You're possibly thinking about it. You're possibly thinking about it. And what my experience has shown me, by the way, sometimes I'm willing to share my idea. If you want to steal.
Yeah.
The truth is, you're not going to do it well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact,
So
execution-
ideas cannot be protected.
Execution is key.
Yeah.
But
And you
let's-
should be scared actually if you have an idea that other people don't.
Mm.
If you live on this maybe you got some idea of a toy that works in Venice.
But I get
Then-
where
then-
his question is coming from, and I choose to focus on the aspect of confidentiality,
Yes, let's address the confidentiality.
because I think
That's an important
that's
point.
an
You're right.
important thing.
Yes.
So now, you see, you may not know whether I will be confidential or not. It's like you're really trusting my word. That's also the reality of the industry. And so all of us as coaches choose. It's more of a commitment. It's like the odds we take.
It's unethical.
It's just unethical not being able to offer confidentiality to your client. That if you can't, then what are you doing in the business? We are in the business of protecting our clients' interests.
Yeah.
And not, that's why I liked how you said that you can easily have a conversation with an engineer. So I have no idea. I can't bake to save my life, even cook maybe, but not for others. So what would it be for me if I was to steal someone's idea? But confidentiality is really what I choose to promise my clients, because it's a conversation here.
Yeah.
So it's good that you work with people who are trusted. And one of the key things I would say, if that is really an issue for you, when you're sourcing for a coach, it's good for you to even ask them, who have you worked with? And would they be willing to share, even if it's a testimonial, or can I reach out to them? Not really for the details, but just for you to be encouraged. Yeah. But also the interesting thing with the coaching world is also that it's a referral kind of a world. Most of my clients, I've gotten them, it's purely word of mouth.
Yeah.
And it's because someone was happy with the work that we did, and so they're coming back. And so I would say for Ambassador Pio, work with trusted people. And if you don't trust them, try and do a bit of your due diligence.
Yes.
Because that's all that at the moment you have.
Yeah.
And then confidentiality is really just about, I will not reveal what me and you have discussed.
Yeah.
Yes.
And as a coach, it's something that we take very seriously.
Yeah.
First, we're not stealing your idea. Two, we're not taking your idea and sharing to the next client. Because at the end of the day, we are drawing ideas from you so that you take them and go back and use them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we don't necessarily take in ideas from you so that now we go and take and give them to other people. No, that's not the intention. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think for us, one of the things that we've done before is when I find myself during the same period having to coach similar businesses, then I disqualify myself from one. Yeah. So I can't find myself coaching two catering businesses at the same time, who are within the same environment. That becomes very difficult because as you're coaching, ideas can pass on. And so you just separate yourself, and especially if you have a network of coaches, then it's easy. You know, I say, I'll coach this business, can you coach the other one? So that you create some Chinese walls.
Yeah. Any thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think that's trust is important. If you feel you don't trust someone, then that's material. You shouldn't go into a coaching relationship at all.
Yeah.
And then for the coaches, yeah, I think what's been said, I don't think it's in a coach's interest to sort of copy ideas and go and do stuff for really good coaches, good reputable coaches. And yeah, and also we try to manage conflicts quite intentionally.
Yeah. I think also it would be good practice for entrepreneurs to just get the practice of signing non-disclosure agreements. Because, you know, not really that you're going to go to litigation, but, you know, when you have signed a non-disclosure agreement,
it's an intention to be honest.
It's an intention to be honest.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, for the businesses in the house, this is a practice that we need to adopt. So that, you know, even when you're talking with possible partners, you know, you can talk freely.
Yeah.
Great. Our time is not on our side. We'll take a couple more questions. Then we'll bring this to a close. This directed to you, Ken. Would you encourage entrepreneurs to participate in business idea competitions? Are there not platforms for mining business ideas? This is where you say this is a very good question.
Very important question.
I think, okay, so there's part of the question which is, you know, should businesses participate in idea competitions? I think once or twice you can, because the process of, in most competitions, the really well-organized ones, they force you to really organize your thinking. The process forces you to organize how you think about the business, customers, and to get your sort of business sort of stress tested. You have panels of experts that share ideas and so on. So there's some value in that. I would suggest that it doesn't become a way of life.
Revenue model.
Yes, yeah, it should not become a way of life that, you know, you know, and normally when we are coaching, trying to, you know, we are coaching during the sort of early phases, always you get worried when a company's got a string of business competitions they've won, because those things take time and you just wonder, when are they spending time serving their customers? So choose them well, but you can't be like 2 a year is too many, right? That's a problem. But the other question, which is, are they platforms? You know, there's an ambassador, I think. I think ambassador seems to have an unhealthy fear of his ideas getting stolen. And he shouldn't worry too much about that, because ideas are, they are one piece of the equation. But success actually combines having a good idea. That's one process. Then getting the idea to the market is actually a very specific process. Then when the idea is in the market, building a company around it, that's also a very different process. And then once you build a company around it, building into an engine for growth. So all these are very different processes, right? That you have to go in sort of business building. And at any one of those processes, there are always people that never make it.
Yeah.
So if you worry too much that, you know, the idea, you need to protect it, you are spending time trying to intellectual, whatever it is, getting everybody to sign NDAs, you know, somebody wants to have coffee, send them an NDA. If you obsess too much about that, then you're not spending enough time thinking through how do you move that idea, get it into the market, get it into a company, and so on and so forth. And that's what really matters in the end.
Yeah.
And all of that is very difficult to do, even when you have the idea well documented and given to you on a silver platter. Even like business plans. Like in today's world, I find like even our competitors' business plans. When I was at Cellular, I'd just be sitting and somebody would call me and say, "Guess what I saw?" And then they send you someone's sort of business plan. Yeah, business plan. And then you get excited. Then you look at it for like 3 seconds. You get busy, get a call, and whatever it is. And then at some point, you just forget about it. You move on, you continue to run your game.
Yeah.
So don't worry too much about ideas. It's those processes that are super important. They set you apart from everybody else.
And there are many examples of companies that were not the first to do something.
Yeah.
And somebody else came, or they were the first to do something, and somebody else comes along and passes them.
Kodak is a classic example. They were the first guys to do the digital camera.
Yep. There you go.
Yeah.
Facebook was not the first.
No, there used to be MySpace, if you remember.
Yeah. And even in this country,
M-Pesa was not the first
money transfer product.
Yeah.
Actually, it was not even the first mobile money transfer product.
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't. Yeah. But do you remember the other?
No, who were they?
So it didn't matter.
Great. Any final thoughts? We want to bring this to a close. Are there questions that we did not answer? Let's see. Sorry?
Quite a lot.
Quite a lot. Okay. Can we try and now, each of you will be answering one question because we really must bring this to a close. I don't want to, we answered that, the chemistry, cost of coaching, we have addressed that. Line of business, we've addressed that. Is it possible to structure fees that are partly retainer based with bonuses? We've answered that because we said, have that discussion with the coach. One of the biggest value adds is someone being on the outside looking in. Sometimes we have blinders on time, from time spent immersed in our opportunities. You're absolutely right. When you're in the trenches, you don't see what someone would see from up.
Yeah.
Like that. Okay, let's see. Okay. These are comments. Thank you so much, Kingwa. A lot of hard work. Actually, that's where the baby is birthed.
Yes.
Or killed.
Yeah.
Execution is everything. Okay. There's an Stephen King said execution. Yeah, that's execution. Let's see what Samuel Kamochi is saying. Execution makes the difference, and that I cannot say that louder. So I think we've addressed all the questions.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a pleasure, but before we leave, some parting shots. We started with you, we'll start with the gentleman now.
Yeah, I think if I was to leave you with one thought, I think coaching is so critical. If I, many years ago, would have understood it as a concept and sort it out, I would probably have had an incredibly smoother journey. It wouldn't have solved all the problems, but it would have solved a lot of the, let me call them the self-inflicted problems.
Yeah.
The problems that were essentially out of my inability to find clarity in my own head and in sort of alone somewhere. Certainly the journey would have been a lot lonelier. I think I'd probably be, a company would probably be 3 times as large. Yeah. If I had stayed, let's say, with Wylde as a coach for, a longer term, I'd probably be 3 times as wealthy as well. So it cost me,
for good opportunity
cost me real bucks, let me say. Yeah.
I think for me, the parting shot is if you leave this meeting and you do need a coach, go to our website and get yourself a coach. You know, don't leave this meeting thinking I've heard about coaching, I want some, I can't afford it, and not take the step to actually get a coach. So do that. Go to our website, www.wylde, Wylde International, and book for yourself a coaching session. And that said, the sooner you start, the better off you will be, because it will help you actually make the decisions and have the clarity and begin to experience the growth that your business deserves.
Okay.
Yeah, everything you guys have said. And so for me, my parting shot, at GoForth, we have partnered with Unthinkable to offer quality coaching services for business leaders and also entrepreneurs. So, and these ones who are here are a key plug, are a key plug. So check out Unthinkable as well if you're also looking out for coaches. And we have a very well-packed or curated program that is not just, there's coaching, there's an accountability framework. So if you feel like you're in that space where you've been talking about, I'm young in business, or I'm a business leader and I need that good support team, have a look, join us at unthinkable.co.k, and we see how we can support you. Yeah. So go get a coach, even us we have.
Coaches are available. Don't say our call.
Yeah.
Right, guys. You've heard for yourselves. I cannot overemphasize that. Please get a coach, regardless of what stage your business is in. Yeah, and focus on growth. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, dear panelists. Thank you for making time to come out, and just have this discussion. Participants, thank you very much for, spending time. I hope, I hope that this has been of use to you, and please get yourself a coach. Don't fly blind. Thank you and have a good evening. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, you guys.